Hey there, Chiefs fans. Welcome back to episode 3 of the Chief Talk podcast. So glad that you've found your way back and joined us for this episode, third installment already. I'm joined by a very special guest here, General Manager of the Peoria Chiefs, Jason Mott. Jason, thanks so much for being here and taking the time today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, not a problem. So you're a very familiar face around the ballpark for fans that may be out here at Dozer Park quite frequently. But for those that are just joining us and that are new to the podcast, new to the Chiefs and new to the fan base, talk to us kind of a little bit about what you do here and how your career got started in baseball and how you ended up here in Peoria.
I do a little bit of everything. Somebody asked me yesterday, how do you describe it? And I go, I don't really know. I think I do jack of all trades.
Wear many hats.
Yeah. Basically, it's really the day-to-day operations of just about everything that goes into our organization, minus the players and coaching staff. That's the easiest way to really describe it, is I oversee everything else. But it keeps me busy and I love it. I'd rather be busy than not busy. Love being here in Peoria. It's crazy to think that this is year 20 that I've been in sports. Started 20 years ago in hockey. Got lucky with the internship with the Predators, and being from a Missouri guy, got a lot of backlash for going to work for the Predators and not the Blues. But worked there did an internship, worked there for 7 years, and actually made a really brief stop in professional soccer that nobody sees on my resume. It was that brief. And then got into the one sport that I didn't think I'd ever get into, and it was baseball. Back in the day in hockey, I thought 42 games was a lot, and I started going, man, 70, 82, that's a lot more. But it's not, now I couldn't see doing something else. Like, if it was less games, I think I'd be bored. But yeah, I worked for the Cardinals affiliate in Memphis down there for 5 years. Loved it, had a lot of success there, and knew Rocky from meetings here in Peoria with the Cardinals at winter meetings, and he just one day goes, hey man, I need a leader, can you come? And I'm like, I can make that work. And so I've been here, this is year 8 already, and it's crazy. I mean, wife and the boys were entrenched here in Peoria, and we love it.
So I'm glad you brought that up, your multiple stops. I actually didn't know that you worked in soccer. I'm doing research for this. I knew that you worked for Nashville with the Predators and everything like that in hockey, but most people that work in minor league baseball, they might say, okay, I've known I've wanted to be in baseball for a while now. That's not the case for you. So kind of when did you know that baseball was what you wanted to make the transition to?
I think it just kind of lucked. The day that I was sitting in my office in St. Louis with the soccer team, it just hit me that soccer wasn't my sport. And of course now my kids play travel soccer, so that's karma. But I sit there one day and the job just happened to post down in Memphis, and my wife and I, we met in Tennessee. We loved it, and I was like, that felt like home, and so I threw it out and got a call, and next thing I know, a few days later, I'm in Memphis, and about 5 minutes into the interview, they offered me the job. And they're like, hey, are you interested? And I'm like, I'm about 90% interested. Let me just call the wife real quick, because we moved like 3 months ago. Make sure she's okay with moving again.
Sure.
And she approved it. She just asked that we stay there 6 months that time instead of 3. So, but no, I think it just kind of lucked. Being a Cardinals affiliate, Memphis was great. Got a great ballpark down there, and I kind of feel like this is kind of a smaller version of that in reality. Very similar.
So you've been on kind of the sales side of a lot of different things. You worked with tickets and kind of with group sales and everything like that. That's kind of what you do here. And now you kind of oversee everything. You're kind of the umbrella at the top, and everybody below you is kind of, looking up at you, and you're kind of directing and everything like that. But that's kind of what minor league baseball is. So, I mean, what kind of got you going from sales to now kind of wanting to be kind of the man in charge?
I think a lot of it is trying to learn something new. I hated to be, when it was busy. When it wasn't busy, I started to get that itch, like, what else can I do? So I used to always just kind of pay attention. I'd sit down and watch how, when I was in ticket sales, how did the corporate side work, and get to hang out with them, listen to see how they did things. Got involved a little bit on that, trying to tag team some projects, and then got to know the GM very well. He just kind of, I'd always pick his brain a little bit. but it was always trying to learn something else, what they did in different areas, and I think that's really how the best way to look at it. You want to perfect your area, but you also want to be, just like they look at players now in baseball. Utility is a big thing, right?
Sure.
I think utility is a big thing in the front office as well. And we have a lot of people that do a lot of different things, and I think that will bode well for them long term, because when you're up against somebody for a job, if your skill set is more diverse than theirs, you're going to stand out. And I think it just kind of happened over time. And then I realized that I wanted to be that. I wanted that chance to lead an organization, and Rocky gave me he stepped aside and gave me that opportunity in 2018. And it's crazy that it's year 4 or 5 already. I mean, I can't keep tracking where they fly by.
Well, you've done a terrific job. And we've talked a lot about your career arc now, so let's kind of dive into Jason Mott as the person, for those that may not know you too well outside of the ballpark. I know you don't get many, but what does a typical off day look like for you? Where do you like to spend your time? What do you like to be doing?
Right now, it's all about soccer when I'm not here. Carter, my oldest, plays for 2 travel soccer teams. Kellen, the youngest, plays for one of the same clubs as the older brother. And so we've been on a tour of the Midwest the last few weeks. Got a couple more weeks of tournaments here, the next 2 weeks in local, and then in Decatur. But when I'm not doing that, a lot of it is I've been working out a lot since January, trying to get in better shape. Can't keep up with the kids anymore. They're getting too fast for me. So
we've all got that extra COVID weight.
Right. I got plenty of that. So I've been working out, but a lot of it, just spending time with the kids, doing things. I think COVID brought something up where, garage beers with my neighbors. I've got a great group of neighbors on the Ann Street in Washington there, and we created a little group called the Animals for Ann Street, and so we get together. One neighbor's got the pool, I've got the trampoline, so we just the kids jump around, but great group of people there, and that's really, I think, made it home, having that. So and then really, other side of that is trying to stay active and play sports with the kids. And I actually took up in soccer this year. Not very good at it, but I had fun with it.
Hey, there you go. And we're going to see your messy impression at any point, or
I don't know. I keep telling my kids I'm going to do a gritty, but they don't. That would embarrass them. So
I think we have a couple people in the office who would pay to see that. We've had you down there as a track star already, so
right.
We talked to Matthew about that last week.
Yeah. I can beat Matt in a lot of things, so.
I'm sure he'd be willing to challenge you on a few of those. But not many off days this week. We've got a big celebration coming up at Dozer Park this week for fans that maybe haven't heard about that yet. Talk to us a little bit about kind of what's going on here at the ballpark this week.
Yeah, it's a busy week, and it's kind of that time of year. School's ending, so we're excited. Things start to ramp up now. 20 years ago, won our lone championship in the opening year of the ballpark, which is crazy to think about. And so we've had a lot of fun with that over the years. So it's 20 years. Going to have some fun with that. Just kind of think back, reminisce to kind of that championship. Yachty was a big part of that, and makes his pitching debut this week. So maybe that was part of the celebration indirectly. But we've got a lot of giveaways this week outside of our normal weekly promotions. We've got the flag giveaway on Friday. That thing is massive. In my head, I don't think I realized what 3x5 meant.
I saw it down on the table down there. That thing's like a drape almost. It's huge. But
it'll be fun. I'm gonna put it outside on my garage.
There you go.
After we give it out on Friday, and then Saturday, I think that's the one I'm most excited about, is the debut of the Orange Barrels. That's 2 years in the making. Was supposed to make its debut in 20. Love the hats and the jerseys, and doing a little middle sign giveaway. So I think people will really get behind it. I think it's one of those things in this day and age. Minor league baseball really is about trying to think about the alternate names and have fun with them. That's what people really enjoy about our sport. But they're launching this week. It's going to be a lot of fun to kind of see that. There's was already a lot of hoopla behind it when we announced it. So excited to see that, and then We've got a rare Sunday night fireworks this week, which will be great to kind of celebrate the Memorial Day weekend here. And we know that's all about kids on Sunday, so giving away a baby blue youth jersey. So it's going to be just a busy week, a lot of giveaways, fireworks Friday or Saturday and Sunday, and expect a big week here with a lot of people at the ballpark.
Absolutely, and make sure you grab your tickets today. Still a lot more seats to be filled this week, and we hope to have a great celebration at Dozer Park this week. I'm glad you brought up the Orange Barrels, actually, because I was hired back in March, and I was looking through the promotion schedule and everything like that, and I saw Orange Barrels, and I go, what on earth what is that? Yep. And I had to ask a couple people around the office, and they said, well, that's because of all the construction that's going on and everything like that. So for fans that may not know, it's for the barrels that are all along the highways, construction and everything out here in central Illinois. And wasn't quite sure where that moniker came from, but we tapped into that one.
It's an interesting, a quick story on it. So I think going into the 2020 season, they were going to shut the I-74 bridge down.
Okay.
And obviously that didn't sit well.
Sure, naturally.
Because that's a major part of giving us to the ballpark, fans to the ballpark. And I was like, man, that's really going to hurt. And so I started thinking, like, we got to do something. And one day I was driving home and I saw the Orange Barrel on the side of the road, and I'm like, you know what? I've lived here for like 6 years at that point, and there is Orange Barrels all over this town. And which is a sign of progress, which is great. But that was kind of like an indirect, kind of fun jab at them shutting down the thing, and then I found out I think they're going to shut down Bob Michael next year to do some renovations on it in 23. So it will be back in 23.
Yeah, just keep recycling. Yeah. I love it.
I think people will love it. It's a great look, and I think it'll be a fun one to have that we can have a lot of fun with.
Sure, absolutely. Just one more thing, Jason, before we let you get out of here. You've been here for a little while now, and you've worked with a lot of great people over the years. And if you had to pick just kind of one thing that sticks out to you about working with Peoria, working with this staff and this organization, what would that be?
You talked about it. We've had a lot of success since I've been here, and success also breeds people moving on. I think that's one thing that I take pride in. I love to see people go out and take that next step and look back and say, hey, Peoria was hopefully where I got my start, or was in a vital part of my journey. And I think that's really the one thing that I've taken pride on. We've got people that have been here that have been in different levels of baseball. Right now we've got a lot in AAA. We've got some in the WNBA. We've got some in college athletics. Just a wide range, which is cool to think about. But I think the one thing that really sticks out about our current staff, we made it a conscious effort to go young this year. I think a lot of times, people don't get that chance, and by going young, it gave a lot of people that opportunity to do that, and just the energy that it brings. Like, I think that keeps me going, because I know that I've got a bunch of young 20-somethings that are running around the ballpark, and so we.
Couple minutes, we'll let you get to that. I promise.
Yeah. Of course, it rings, but just seeing them, the camaraderie, how quick kind of everybody came together. Like, that's fun, because it is a lot when you sit here and you think about 66 games on the season. We put in a lot of hours, a lot of time together, but it's a great group. We try to do everything as a staff. We make decisions as a staff. I want people to feel vested in what we do here. I don't want to be the one that says, hey, we're doing this, we're doing that. I really want us to make decisions as a staff. And, great staff. They've done a tremendous job already. And I'm excited for what's going to continue to grow. And I think over the next few years, we're going to see things really ramp up and take it to that next level.
Most definitely. If you had to pick one person from the office who you want to make an appearance on the podcast, who's that?
Oh, man.
Calling somebody out right now, putting you on the spot.
You've already got Matt. I think you got to have a matinee. So, I think you got to put Dustin in here.
Okay.
I think Dustin, he's kind of the voice of Peoria. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. People know me when they go places.
Sure.
They may know him more than me. Like, it's like, and that's an okay thing. It's crazy that he does Bradley basketball on the Rivermen and all that, and he plays a vital role in what we do here. But I think he would. I think he'd be a fun one. He's got a lot of experience in the industry, seen a lot of different things, and I guess he was part of one of our most viral TikToks by throwing tickets everywhere. So I think he'd be a fun one.
All right, Dustin, you heard that. You're up next.
Yep.
All right, everybody. That's Jason Mott. Jason, again, thank you so much for taking the time and being here today. We really appreciate you stepping in and filling the time for us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. Keep it locked here on the Chief Talk podcast. Cody Schindler's coming up next, and he's talking to a man who needs no introduction. And if you watch Chiefs games this year, you don't miss the spin rate stash. It's John Beller coming up next on the Chief Talk podcast.
All right, we're back in on the Cheat Talk podcast, episode 3, and we head back to the clubhouse. We've got left-handed hurler John Beller here. John, thanks for taking a few minutes.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Cody, thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. We're looking forward to this because if you followed the Chiefs, John is quite the character. He seems to be kind of in the middle of everything that goes on. So we're going to dive into that, but we're going to talk about, obviously, your baseball career first here, and you start out, you grew up Southern California, an LA guy kind of through and through, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
What was the upbringing like in LA? I can only imagine.
So, it was a really fun place to grow up, obviously. Definitely got really lucky to be able to play against some awesome competition.
Yep.
There's draft guys there out of high school every year. So, ever since high school and then going to USC, playing Pac-12 baseball, we get to play against some amazing competition. So, it was a lot of fun. I mean, there's a great crop of guys coming out of there every year, and I think it was great to be able to get ready for next level baseball, and I was super blessed to be able to grow up where I did, and just beautiful state, play the game year round, and and get to where I am now.
So, grow up in LA, head to USC, have a fine career there. Everyone talks about USC football, right, and all that, but that baseball program has as much tradition as anybody.
Right.
So what was it like playing there and just kind of being a part of it and ultimately turn it into where you are now?
Right. So going to play baseball at USC was a huge experience, right? Because we haven't won a bunch recently. The program's had its trials and tribulations, just like anybody else who's ever hit a slump.
Happens. Baseball, right?
Yeah, it's baseball. But at the end of the day, the feeling on campus is entirely different than I think a lot of places. There might be a select handful of other places around the country where you get the same feeling of heritage and culture. And even when we weren't putting it together on the field, there was never a doubt in our mind that the guys sitting next to you in the lockers next to you weren't some of the most talented college baseball players in the country. So, we look back. I can look back at some of our sub 500 teams, and almost everybody's still in pro ball.
Yeah.
So it was always in there, and it's I made some of my best friends playing at USC, and it was an amazing experience. A lot of history. Rod Dato obviously was an unbelievable coach. So we played at Dato Field. And going across town to play UCLA every year. We got to play them in Dodger Stadium every year.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. But, playing against teams like Vanderbilt, Oregon State, teams that are in it, every year, it's definitely great to be able to go up against the best college baseball players in the country and try and get ready for what we're going to see when I get to a place like this.
Yeah, now the USC, UCLA, that's obviously a huge West Coast rivalry. We're kind of here in the middle, right? We don't really have a flagship university in this area. U of I is 90 minutes away from here or whatever, but can you explain that rivalry to someone who lives in Peoria, Illinois, that's like?
For sure. USC, UCLA is it's live or die, it's fight or flight, it's eat or be eaten. So my mom actually went to USC, so I grew up a USC football fan. I was running around the house when I was 5 years old with my Reggie Bush.
The Bush Push,
yeah. So it's everything, man. The whole week when we play them in football, there's crazy events going on campus, and they do rallies. They got a whole production stage set up on campus where they're doing concerts all week for the students. it's a lot of fun. It's a real big deal, and it's like I don't think there's too many places with some tradition like that, and that goes back 100 years. And it's fun because it gets carried over in every sport, and especially like a baseball program like ours with the history we had, and UCLA, who's been dominant in the last decade and a half. It was always a pretty unbelievable atmosphere to play in. So, yeah, it's an epic rivalry.
We're going to dive into this season in a second, I promise. But we've got a heavy dose of LA questions here for us small,
I'm all for it, man.
For us small Midwestern folks.
For sure.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Does anybody care about the Rams and Chargers?
I'll admit there was like a year-long honeymoon when they first showed up.
Sure.
And then everybody kind of forgot about them because Jared Goff wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley kind of fell off.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, when they picked up Matt Stafford a year and a half ago or a year ago or whatever it was, the whole town was absolutely ecstatic about it.
Interesting.
So my girlfriend actually works at SoFi Stadium.
Is that right?
Yeah, so really small world. But, I think when you look at LA now, like, it's a Rams town.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chargers also play there. So, I mean, it's an awesome place to be a sports fan. We're really spoiled because we have, USC and UCLA football. You have Dodger and Angel baseball.
Yep.
You got the Lakers and the Clippers, the Kings and the Ducks. Whatever sport you want to watch, I mean, you got it. And now we got the Rams and the Chargers.
Yeah.
And obviously the Rams hosting the Super Bowl. The whole city was going crazy. I know the parade was a huge experience.
Yeah.
It was really cool, and I think the town has really kind of bought into the idea of NFL football, especially with how much money was put into the entire stadium and the atmosphere around the stadium. I think it's been done really well, and it's a beautiful place. So.
All right, now we can talk a little baseball because you've had a fine year, mostly out of the pen, but by the time this airs, you'll have your first start under your belt. So the real question that I want to ask, what's the difference? I'm sure there's a myriad of them, but how do you change your preparation knowing, hey, I'm going to start and I may have to log a few more innings as compared to coming in to get 6 big outs at the end of a game?
Right. For sure. So I did both in college.
Mm-hmm.
I relieved the majority of my freshman year, and then the majority of the rest of my career there, I was a starter. And same thing in summer ball, like mostly a starter. But, this year I came in and the kind of the premise of how they wanted me to attack hitters was, pitch backwards and really, really try to use the slider and curveball to open up everything else, right? And that's how I've been pitching. So it's kind of a polar opposite from last year because last year I made, I think it was 19 starts down in Palm Beach.
That's correct. The
There you
research
go.
department confirms.
So I threw a good handful of innings, and like I said, it's an entirely different way of pitching. And I had stints of success, stints of struggle. But this year I feel really confident with my stuff. I think the way I've been going about attacking hitters, I feel really good about it. And it's a lot more this year pitching my strengths as opposed to the hitter's weaknesses. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that we've kind of been learning a lot throughout this organization total this year. It's kind of getting preached top to bottom. And it's going to be a little different. Definitely. I haven't thrown more than, I think, 50 pitches this year, and I'm going to have 65 tomorrow. But I'm not necessarily worried about it because I went 90-plus multiple times last year. But yeah, body feels good, arm feels good, my head's in the right spot. It was unexpected, so definitely an interesting little surprise showing up to the yard yesterday and seeing my name on Thursday in the starting slot. But I'm excited for it. I think it'll be a fun time to see kind of how this new approach of attacking hitters is going to play out, and especially in like a longer stint of innings.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely, and it goes right into my next question about the curveball because you said it, slider curve's really been working and the numbers, speak for themselves with the 193 earned run average. But the curveball to me, we haven't seen everybody in the league, right? It's one of the best pitches I think I've seen. It's sharp, right? You don't want to come on here and brag about yourself, but it's a good pitch. Have you always had the feel for that one, or have you made some tweaks recently?
I definitely made some mechanical adjustments from last year to this year. Definitely trying to get more power out of my legs. And I think the consistency in the changes that I made has definitely helped me spin both breaking pitches more like consistent, just with the same shape, as opposed to kind of the curveball and the slider like morphing into each other as a slurve.
Mm-hmm.
That tended to happen last year, and just a lot of what I worked on in the offseason was making sure I could develop a feel for both of them as separate pitches because, I know that for me to get to the big leagues and ultimately have success in the big leagues, those are my two strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Those pitches are my strengths. My ability to throw them and throw them for strikes, throw them in the dirt with 2 strikes, whatever it may be. So that's where the majority of the work was in the offseason. And then, I still got to be able to establish the fastball. But, I think right now the slider is probably my best pitch. It's hard and tight, and I can get it to sweep a good amount. I've had success throwing the curveball to set it up, as well as the curveball off of it late in the count, just because I can get them about 6 or 7 miles an hour off of each other. So ideally, I would like them to look the same out of the hand and then have 2 different bites, right? So, it's been really fun pitching off, per se, my slider as opposed to pitching off the fastball.
Yes, it's different, but that's the beauty of the game, right?
Right.
One guy gets somebody out with 97, or guy Gordon Graceffo come in with a high heater, and you can come in and attack completely different and get the same results. It's the beauty of the game. And speaking of beautiful, this mustache here, this is fantastic. How long has this been going on? Where do you see that going down the line?
So, I did it last year for a little bit at the beginning of the season. It only lasted like 3.5, 4 weeks. And I ended up shaving it because I had a string of 2 really tough starts, and I kind of tweaked my arm a little bit. So I was like, kind of just wanted to reset.
Sure.
This year, I wasn't planning on doing it necessarily, but we showed up to spring training again, and I was just messing around with some of the guys, and they were like, man, like, you got to bring back the mustache, whatever. I was like, okay. So week 2 spring training, I decided not to shave it, let it ride for like a week, and the comments start coming back. It's like a fun little thing. I don't know. You got guys in the big leagues like Nestor Cortez doing the mustache thing, and it's a lot of fun. So I think we're in week 8 now.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've had this thing going for about 2.5, maybe 3, almost 3 months, and I'm gonna let it ride, man. I know I got some scruff going right now. Try to keep that pretty clean, but I think the mustache has been a fun little thing, kind of stand out. I like to stand out. I always have, and whether it's the way I dress or the way I present myself, I think it's fun, and it gets the team fired up for whatever reason. But
so the feedback has been great.
Yeah, feedback's been positive. I don't think it's my girlfriend's favorite thing, but she likes it if the boys like it, so.
Taking one for the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Speaking of the team, we talked about it prior to the interview. The energy's great. The morale's great. There's a bunch of characters in the locker room.
Right.
But you always seem to be right in the middle of it. Is that something, and I think the answer is going to be yes, is that something that's always kind of followed you around wherever you've been?
For sure. I mean, this goes all the way back to high school. I mean, I went to all-boys high school, and it's honestly just like a tidal wave of testosterone flying around the place at all times. So if you're not super loud and in everybody's face, like, you're never going to get your point across. So that's kind of just like an energy that's stuck with me since then. And even back at USC, it's like, SC baseball, everybody there is the biggest, baddest personality from wherever they came from.
Yeah.
So if you don't fight to get your words in or whatever, you're never going to get them in. And we had this like idea my junior year at SC, which unfortunately came to an early end because of COVID. We were off to a really hot start, but we had this idea like the Energy Bus. It's based on a book. It's a mental game book. I don't remember who wrote it. I'm blanking. But the Energy Bus is like you have couple guys who drive the bus, right? And everybody else, the whole team's got to get on the bus. And it's really fun because you can just carry the Energy Bus to, whichever team you go play for. And here we got multiple guys who can drive the bus. And it's a lot of fun. So I think, our atmosphere, our camaraderie is unlike anything that I've seen before in my, brief 2 years so far in minor league baseball. And we have a lot of fun. Like, we got a good group of guys who genuinely want to see each other succeed, and a lot of times I know it's tough because people want to move to the next level.
Sure.
So it's really competitive, even within your own clubhouse. But, I know we've had our bumps in the road. Like, we haven't won every game. I know we're fighting for 500 every day we go out there, but everybody's got faith in one another, and we know we're a talented group of guys. At the end of the day, we got to remember that we're in the 0.01% of baseball players in the world. So, I think good group of guys, extremely grateful, and the energy is always really, really good. We're just glad to be here and go play the game that we love.
I love it. Now, the big burger debate, naturally. You already know where I'm going with this.
Yep.
In-N-Out versus Whataburger. Where do you sit and why?
So, okay.
Oh, this is a deep answer. Yeah, let me sit up straight for this.
I'm gonna be honest, right? Like, Whataburger is really good. Okay. I love it. It's really, really good.
Okay.
I'm obviously not from the South or the Midwest where you can just go to Whataburger. But I mean, if I'm ever coming back to LA after being gone from somewhere, there's only one place that I'm gonna go, right? And that's In-N-Out. It's the only thing on my mind when I'm getting off the tarmac, right? I mean, I don't know what they put in their special sauce there, but it's unbelievable. And like, you can get the animal fries, the whole atmosphere of the place. I mean, it's beyond the burger, right? Whataburger is a fast food joint. In-N-Out is a culture. It's an experience, man. Like, you show up in there and everybody's so happy to see you, and you get your double-double. You get your animal fries, your shake, or whatever. I mean, the menu's got like freaking 4 things on it, so clearly it's pretty good. Now, I'm a huge fan of In-N-Out. I think there's some good burgers out there, but In-N-Out's above and beyond.
So do you have to like In-N-Out as a Southern California guy? Or
well, I think if you don't, it would be pretty frowned upon.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's some guys who like Five Guys and like, other stuff, but...
Fine burger, but
bang for your buck.
Yeah.
It's going to be In-N-Out every time.
Okay.
So,
gotcha. Now, we talked a lot about the Southern California connection here. I hear people all the time say there's a big difference between SoCal and NorCal.
For sure.
What is it? Explain that to us.
So, first of all, there's a huge difference in like lingo. There's a ton of slang that we say in Southern California that people don't say in Northern California. And like a lot of that just comes from the beach town, like, surfer influence. So there's a lot more dude, gnarly, bro, and stuff like that, right? And Northern California you got the Bay Area, but you also have a huge portion of agricultural land, right? And so there's definitely a country influence out there. There's like a lot more of like an outdoorsy influence, right?
Interesting.
So it's just totally different. I think everybody knows best athletes come from Southern California. Nobody really talks about Northern California, but with the exception of Tom Brady, I will say that guy's an absolute animal. But
he's won a few.
No, it's a real rivalry. I mean, at the end of the day, we feel like we're 2 different states.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it's a big state, a lot of people. So
when you get a big punch out there to end an inning, you're walking off the mound yelling gnarly and rad. Is that the go-to?
No chance. No chance. I mean, if you watch Gordon pitch, Graceffa pitch, he gets a big punch out and he's freaking, let's go! And I'll admit, like, I used to be very much like punch out to end the inning, stoic face, like walk off the mound, no emotion. But pitching out of the pen this year, when you're in there in big situations and like it's a safe situation or whatever, runners on second and third, and you get a big swing and a miss to end the inning and give your guys a chance to win, like, yeah, I'm fired up. I've been yelling like, come on, or let's go, or whatever, like trying to get the boys in the dugout pumped. For sure, you gotta let the energy loose sometimes.
Not gnarly, radical.
No
yeah.
I mean, that is like immediate ammunition to get bullied in the clubhouse.
Gnarly, guys, let's go. Yeah,
that pitch is gnarly.
Yeah, don't do that.
No chance.
Yeah, no, I'm out on that. 2 things, and we'll get you out of here, John. This has been fantastic. Everyone, has a set of goals, whether it's, moving up or, something smaller. It could be something off the field. Everyone's, wired a little differently. What are your goals here as we're moving in to June now? We're getting close to June. All the days kind of run together at this point. But obviously a fine start to your. What are your goals the rest of the way?
So I think the biggest goal is to continue to go out there and have fun. At the end of the day, I had some situations last year where I felt like I might have been pressing a little bit too hard and maybe frustrated with my own performance or not moving up or whatever, maybe playing GM a little bit. You can't do that, right? And I had to have last year to learn that. And the biggest emphasis for me is to have fun, go out there and give the guys a chance to win. If I can go out there and give the guys a chance to win, then I'm gonna have a great time every time. And at the end of the day, like, it's not always gonna work, and can't put too much pressure on myself. It's I'm out here playing a game and chasing a dream, and that's the biggest thing. So goal number 1, I would say, is just continue having fun, play the game like a kid, right? Goal number 2 is, get to the bigs and stay there.
Yeah.
I'm here at the end of the day because I want to play in the big leagues. I think I can make an impact, and ideally I'd love to do it with the Cardinals. So
It's one of those things, right? Like, you can try to be minded, but you can't shy away from that. You just have to embrace that. And
absolutely.
I think the mindset, and we talked about that too, guys like Mason and some of the other guys that have been in the clubhouse, the mindset is there, and I think that's a big part of it. So lastly, before we get you on your way, who else needs to be on here? We asked Gordon and Michael the same question, throw a couple guys out there.
Yeah, so new addition to the clubhouse, Zane Mills. I think Zane is he's from all the way up in Washington State. He's a Cougar from the Pacific Northwest. He's
Pullman, I'm sure, is just a fine town.
Well, I don't know what they do there, but he'll deliver some comedy for you. I think he's a good baseball mind, and Tommy Jew would be awesome to have up here. Tommy loves the game of baseball. He plays the game the right way, and I think he could deliver some humor as well. So
got it. They're on the list. Hey, episode 3 in the books. John, appreciate you being here, man. That's
absolutely
fantastic.
God bless.
We'll see you next week. We'll have something new up our sleeves. We'll probably talk to some guys, maybe a couple guys. You never know what you're going to get on the Cheap Talk podcast. And usually, after you come on the podcast, you usually get on a little heater. So you're welcome.
Perfect.
So yeah, John Beller getting on a heater after coming on. We'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in on the Cheap Talk podcast.